Howdy folks, it's Turtle here and welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator. We are going to finish the Northwestern Kimberley Coast bush trip today. It says we're 66% done, so we have one leg left and it's a biggie. It's going to take me about 2 hours real life time to get through this. So you know the drill, this is leg 3 of 3, so you've already had a long introduction. Let's get going. Alright, first thing we do is come down here and repair and refuel. There we go, inner fuel is on left by default. First set of flaps are down. Let's have a peek-see outside. It's been a few days since I've flown. Oh my gosh, is this smooth. Holy cow. And gorgeous. Oh yeah, that's right. We landed on this, like, ridge on top of a hill. Do you hear that? Let me see if I can turn up the ambient sounds through editing here. Listen to this for a second. Isn't that insane? Wow, that is so cool. Alright, I gotta bring the sound down so you can hear me better. Wow, that is so cool. I never realized you could hear all that stuff because I keep my personal volume so low so that the microphone doesn't pick it up, and I don't wear headphones because it hurts my ears. So, anyway, looking gorgeous. I love how we just landed on this ridge. I think that's plenty of runway though. Do we need to back taxi? Yeah, we might actually. Anyway, alright, this is going to be long enough as it is with all my gabber-gabbering, so let's get reading here. Oh boy, long one. Alright, and okay, well, hopefully it's a noticeable airport from the air, but there we go. I might have to do this method so we can keep track of where we are, even though it looks annoying. We might just have to get used to it. We'll see. Okay, we're going from Tango Indigo to Indigo Papa. Cooland Island. Take to the skies again and head east-southeast to visit the long, narrow Cooland Island, a rugged island known for its bountiful iron ore deposits, like Minecraft. Right? Everything relates back to Minecraft, even the clouds in the water. So 103 degrees for about 4 minutes. Let's come down here and go 103, which I guess we can just push this. Does this have a pushy? This does not. So we gotta go like this. Oh, also the big thing I remember now, even though it's been a couple days, is that was 103, 130, 103, right? 103. We have to hand fly this, right? So if you're leaving comments about autopilot in this, I'm recording this way before the first leg is even edited, so I haven't read your comments because they don't exist yet. But I've not been able to find autopilot in this plane, and I haven't tried to see if key bindings on the keyboard will engage autopilot, which you'd be able to tell up here. So as of right now, as I fly this, I don't know how to do autopilot, if it's even possible in this plane. Could have done more research, but that's not a big deal. It just means you have to hand fly. So what does that mean? That means, well, normally a lot of chit-chat time while we look out the cockpit windows, but because I don't want this to be a 2.5 hour video, I'm going to edit out as much as I can, yet keep the core content. Alright, let's zoom this out a little bit here. This must be our island we're going to, right? I would think. Cooland Island, yeah. Anyway, you get the idea. I'm not going to repeat all what I've said about that in the previous 2 legs because I assume you've watched the previous 2 legs. I would think. I mean, I know some of you watch certain legs if you're looking for something, but most of you watch them all, so I would just be repeating myself. Alright, let's back taxi here. I will repeat myself again, though, that you cannot turn off the HUD in bush trips because it's kind of like a mini game. Everything's preset. All your options are preset. However, you can turn this HUD off in circle view in free flight. That's why you normally don't see it in my regular videos. And of course, there's the drone view, but as I say in every single video, my drone controls are my yoke and pedal, so I can't have the drone and fly the plane at the same time. So normally I would use autopilot, and then I'd be able to do my drone views. Whoa, what's going on here? But because this plane doesn't have autopilot, or at least I don't have the key bindings programmed to engage autopilot through the keyboard, we have to hand fly, so the drone can only be if I have perfectly trimmed and no wind and stuff. Let's pop up now. Step on the brakes to stop the wheels. Gear coming in. We can watch that, kind of. I miss it. And we can watch it like this. That's kind of cool. We don't normally watch that. And oh, this is kind of cool to fly like this. And flaps coming in. And, oh, I got to start the timer on my phone. I forgot about that because, I'll explain in a second once I get it started. There we go. Because the timer down here, I can't figure out how to access it. We've been through all the menu in leg 1 and everything. I'm not going to do that again. And the timer on here, if you minimize the window or if you get rid of the window, the timer resets. And I don't really feel like minimizing the nav log because it'll be in the top right corner, top left corner. However, maybe we'll have to do it just because it's going to be quite laborious to go through all of the POIs. If we, if we shrink them, collapse them, they are expanded again. See, it's a bug that, at least I think it's a bug because it never used to be that way. Alright, anyway, here we go. We're headed towards Coolin Island. Let's look out the windows together while I make myself more comfortable in my chair. We'll climb to about 25 to 2,700 feet, although I will miss that because I'll be looking out the window instead of looking at my gauges for sightseeing, which means you get thrown off quite quickly, right? Alright, I really do want to look outside. It has, because we're over water, the aircraft is stable, so let's use the drone super fast, because we can, because we're over water. So let's just kind of go like this, get a good shot for a thumbnail perhaps, right out of the gate here. Yeah, until we get over that island, we can look around with the drone. But as soon as we touch that island, we're going to have turbulence, and we can't use this. That's awesome, right? So there we go. So there's north looking over the ocean, and mainland Australia is back there. Very cool. There's an island right there. Oh, that's kind of a big one. There might be animals on that one. You all know my island stories by now. I don't need to repeat my island stories. But we better get back in because there we go. Let's get the airplane started to do its own thing. Alright, so there's 2,200 feet. We'll climb a little bit more. Let's start trimming down. Oh yeah, that's right. Something happened where if I bump my trim wheel, it like completely goes all the way down. Then you got to work it back up. Very challenging to stabilize an aircraft now that I bumped my trim because it was set for takeoff. Let's bring back props a little bit because it was in the red. There we go. Alright, cool. Alrighty, we got another minute yet here, and then we'll do the next POI, and then I'll shut my trap, and we will do some sightseeing. Alright, there we go. Let's climb a little bit more, just so we can get a little less of the turbulence from the ground. But in the meantime, let's look over here. We do want to stay below cloud level, though. Oh, fun. So fun. Alrighty. Yep, we're getting all thrown off here. 1, of the turbulence from the ground. 2, because I'm not looking at my gauges when I sightsee. Alright, what was the timing on that one? 3. Well, okay, so we're at 3 minutes. Let's get further over this island before we make our turn to Wood Island here. Alright, there's 2,700 feet. Let's level off if we can. We're just getting thrown all over the place here. Jeez. They did say in the latest Twitch stream that they made sure the wind was correct, so they said this is wind turbulence, which would be true. You know, there is wind in real life, but it's smooth over open water, which would also be true. So I don't know if it would be this dramatic. I don't know. It treats us like we're floating or we're flying close to the mountains, and we're not. But anyway, it makes it hard to control. Alright, there we go. That must be the iron mine. See down there? Just, yeah, right here. I'll just use my mouse. Right there. Iron mine. Okie dokie. It's been a little bit over time, so let's restart the timer first, actually. And then let's read about Wood Island. It says to turn 82 degrees. So let's come down here and do 82 degrees, which I guess is towards the east-northeast. So there we go. Start making that turn. At least we get to go over open water. Right? And, whoops, I almost hit the wrong button. From Coolin Islands, change course to the east-northeast and fly over open water, smooth sailing, to arrive at Wood Island. Okay, and that is about 9 minutes out. So I got the timer going, we have the heading set, it should smooth out in a minute. So what I'm going to do is shut my mouth. I'm actually going to get rid of that, because as soon as we get over open water, I can take out the drone and give you some better sightseeing. So, look forward to that, and I'll see you in a minute. looks like Wood Island is one of these islands up here. Probably the one on the left, I'm guessing. Simply because we got off track a little bit. Because if you notice during sightseeing, hopefully I kept it in without editing it out. I let the drone fly a little bit, and the airplane did its own thing and turned way to the east. So we had to turn back, which means I'm assuming Wood Island would be the left one, but I could be wrong. So we were at 2,500 feet, which is what I wanted to be at, but during looking out the windows for so long, we slowly crept down to 2360. So I'm going to trim back one click just so it slows us down, which means we'll climb a little bit. Just a little bit and slowly work our way back up to 2,500 feet. Although as soon as we get over this land mass, we're going to get jolted all over the place. There's a cool island out there with an even cooler, smaller one right there. Alright, let's see. As we're about to go over Wood Island, what is next? Yawajaba Island. Why does Yawajaba sound so familiar? Interesting. Northeast of Wood Island is Yawajaba Island, which is actually composed of 3 closely spaced islands and is surrounded by the Montgomery Reef. So that's cool. Once we get over the land here, we'll change to 38 degrees and reset the timer for 5.5 minutes. And there we are, looking fabulous as ever. So here we go, 38 degrees I think it said. So let's reset the, oops, my phone went blank because that was such a long in between. So let's reset the timer and go 38 degrees. So fly, remember we're hand flying this entire bush trip, which is fun. I like hand flying, but it does make video making a little more challenging. But that's okay, nothing we can't handle. So let's slowly make our turn here. I know I'm not doing standard rate turn. I'm just casually turning to 38 degrees, making sure we don't descend. There we go. Alrighty, cool. And that must be it right there. Those islands up there, right? How long does it say? It says 5.5 minutes or so. Alright, cool. Since the drone is not working, let's just keep the nav lock up, even though it drives me crazy. We might get rid of it later, but anyway, enjoy the open water for a second or two, and I'll see you when we get to Yawajaba Island, which is actually 3 islands. See you in a minute. We still have a ways to go before we get to the island, but I just wanted to point out the reef. I was going to say the Great Barrier Reef, which that is not the Great Barrier Reef. There is a reef going around the island, which you can see. I guess if I'll point it out in case you're watching on a smaller device, but there's the reef there, which is probably just as gorgeous on the ground as it is from the air. And it looks fantastic in the sim. Any reef stories? Because I know a lot of you come here for story time, and I have not been delivering story time all that much. So I apologize to those of you who watch for story time, and unfortunately the people who have stopped watching me because I don't do story time aren't going to hear this because they haven't been watching. But those of you who have stuck around, story time. I don't really have one. Well, yeah, my wife has been reef diving, or whatever you call it, 3 times in her life. 3 times. She panicked the first time. She was in high school, but as an not older adult, no, as an adult, she's not that old. As an adult, she's gotten 2 more times and has been successful. So, and she likes it. I've never been. You all know I don't get out much. Don't really care. Doesn't bother me that much, but I've not been diving on a reef. All right, so we're about to get there, and my timer dimmed again. What time is? Oops, I forgot to. I had to pause the sim for a couple minutes, and I don't know what my timer is, which is fine because we know where we're going, and then we'll just reset the timer when we get there. And there you can see the reef a little bit better, and the junk on the window thing, like this stuff right here. I have been trying to wipe my monitor off, especially that one, but it's on the window in the airplane, which is fantastic, but it makes me want to wipe my monitor off, which shouldn't be touching my monitor, especially when it's on. But anyway, ooh, there's some shallow water, some sandy shores. I bet that's awesome. You can lie out there. in the water and let it lap up as tide goes in and out. Very cool. Alrighty, we're about to reach the island. We're not going to reset the time. Oh, crap. I just hit that button. Now it's all going to come back. Anyway, Yabba Jabba, right? That's where we're headed. Yep, we're almost there. Alright, so next, once you get to the middle of this island, we're going to reset the timer for 9:15, 89 degrees, to Store Island. Head to the east, passing over open water and a small peninsula to reach Store Island, which lies between Doubtful Bay and George Water and is home to a number of bird species, including the silver-crowned friarbird, the leading flycatcher, and the great bowerbird. Okay, so lots of birds that won't be in the sim because they have not added fauna in a very long time. We had that discussion several videos back, how I wish they would add a lot more fauna. And we do have the fauna thing turned on, so if we ran into fauna, we would see it. I do believe the whatchamacallit things, the bush trips let you turn on fauna, I think. So we should have fauna turned on. Anyway, we're going to hop over. We're going to fly over the island. You can see how it is 3 islands, actually, but they call it 1. And let's reset my timer now. There we go, start. And what did it say, 98 degrees? 89 degrees. I do have a story about 98 degrees, just a second here. 89 degrees, and let's start turning. You all know Nick Lachey, right? From 89 Degrees, the boy band. You know, think of New Kids on the Block, Backstreet Boys. There's also 98 Degrees. 98 Degrees was my sister's favorite band. Oh my gosh, we're slowly getting lower again, aren't we? 98 Degrees was my sister's favorite band. She had a huge crush on Nick Lachey. And you can hear the springs in my yoke. And she had posters up all over her wall of Nick Lachey back in late 80s, late 80s, early 90s, I think. Anyway, so I mentioned it to her because she and I both watched that silly Ultimatum show on Netflix. And she watched it she lives like an hour and a half away, but she watched it, I watched it, we compared notes, we texted during it, whatever. It was during a time when both our families were super, super sick, so we had nothing else to do. Anyway, I brought up how she had a crush on Nick Lachey, and she didn't remember. She claimed she didn't remember. I'm like, you were pretty obsessed for like a 14-year-old girl, so how can you not remember? But anyway, there's another story for you. There we go. We're just rolling out the stories today. And what did Store Island? Yeah, 9 minutes out. I'm just wondering which one we're going for. Are we going for this one? Are we going for this one? Is it that little one? I could Google it, but I'm not going to. It's more fun to try to find it on our own. And then if you want the specifics, you can go ahead and Google it and put 2 and 2 together and see which island it was. Otherwise, that's enough rambling for right now. We're 2 minutes in. We got about 7 minutes to go. I'm trying to restabilize my aircraft after the turbulence of that island. And I'll see you at Store Island, where there's a lot of birds, and it's one of these islands in front of us. See you in a little bit. jumping in here for a second, and we're getting some weird water textures down there. Do you see that? That's kind of weird. Also, I tried doing another drone view, which I hope I left in, but we started to drift. And the navlog thing was in the way anyway, but I figured out what's going on here. We're 6 minutes in, and I bet we're going to this island, right? Because see how there's all this landmass, and there's this huge island? And it would be inland and safe, so the birds and other fauna would love it. So that's Door Island, I'm pretty sure. In fact, I'm very confident. So that would be it sticking up here. See, there's water in between. See that ridge? So we're going to that island. So we're going to adjust course a little bit because I got thrown off during sightseeing because I'm not looking at my gauge during sightseeing, which I've already said a dozen times in this bush trip. So we're going to correct. We're going to correct course. And then once we get there, you'll hear my voice again and we'll continue reading. So let's have a little bit of view out the window and then we'll reconvene in just a moment. Alright, so the island is in front of us under the nose. Let's use the circle cam, not chase cam, but circle cam to look around. Ignore the HUD, pretend it's not there. I just want to have a view of what's going on since we haven't been able to look outside very much. Very turbulent over the ground, which is unfortunate. But that's just how the sim wants to do it these days. And we're getting thrown way off course here from all this wind, I guess it is, although I feel like it's a little more than that. Anywho, let's read about the next place, and we'll just set the timer in a minute. So I've got to unlock my phone so I can do the timer. The timer does say 9 minutes and 20 seconds, but we're not quite over the island because of all the corrections we've had to make. Good grief. So in just a moment, oh, I'm getting dizzy. I don't really want to climb much higher, but I think we're going to have to. Let's climb a little bit. Maybe get to 3,000 or so. We're going to turn to 26 degrees, and about 5 minutes out from there is Mangrove Point. Turn to the northeast and tracking up the central line of George Water to reach Mangrove Point. So 26 degrees now for 5 minutes or so. Let's reset the timer. Whoops, how do I do this? There we go. Got stuck on lap time. I never forgot what it said. 26 degrees. 26 degrees. Let's get off this island. Oh my gosh, this is insane. Yeah, this turbulence. Like, I'm calling it train turbulence because that's what I'm used to from like mountains and stuff, but not at this altitude. The developers are calling it wind, and I think it's too much wind. But they said if you don't like it, fly at night or fly during different seasons. Like, no, I want to fly right now, and I don't want to be shaking around my aircraft, but I guess it's realistic. I don't know. We're 3,300 feet. Might be a little bit better, but we're also going over open water again. See, we're to the left of the land, so I don't know if our altitude helps or if it's open water, but we're going to do this for 5 minutes roughly, right? And then we get to a point called Mangrove Point, which is probably up there. So here's to about 40 seconds or so of sightseeing, and I'll see you at Mangrove Point for our next point of interest. Alright, so we've reached, or we're reaching, Mangrove Point. And we're not on course at the moment. I had it correct because I was going to try to do a drone shot and then ended up throwing us way to the left. So now I'm making us way back to the right to stay on course, and then we'll move on to the next heading anyway. So we're going to go another little bit here. It's been 5 minutes. It said 4 something. So let's read about the next thing. Mount Gray, continue on a heading to the northeast, flying just to the west of the northern extremity of George Water to Mount Gray, which stands 708 feet above sea level. Okay, that must be that right there. Right? So let's do 35 degrees for 3 minutes or so. So let's close that up. And 35 degrees, which is just, well, basically what we're headed already for a correction. So there we go. Not much of a change. So yeah, that has to be what we're looking for. That's pretty easy. Now I did bring us up to about 33 to 3,400 feet. And let's hope that that'll soften the turbulence a little bit, and it looks like it is as we go over land. So good. Very nice. So higher altitude, I guess, is smoother. So that tells me that it isn't really wind, it is rain turbulence. So maybe it's a bit much. I don't know. I just fly a plane in a sim. I really don't know. Just checking out the red terrain and the light green terrain. Ocean in the background. Some more islands. And some murky water down below, which is awesome. It's fun to take kayaks and stuff like that. And over here we've got some more murky water on the shoreline and some clean water and some more reddish stuff and a little bit of hills. But mainly we're looking for this big thing that's 708 feet above sea level. And says we got about 2 minutes to go, but obviously we can see what we're doing, so I'll see you when we get there. Alright, clearly I spoke too soon about the turbulence because it is very turbulent even at this altitude. I tried climbing a little more still and it didn't do a whole lot of good. So we're just going to bounce around. But anyway, the thing we're looking for is a little ways out yet. But can't see it under the nose. And what did it say for timing on that? It said 3 minutes only? It's been 4, so I don't really understand what's going on. Unless we've kind of lost sight of it because of all the bouncing around. I don't know. Anyway. Oh, geez, all this bouncing just gives me a headache. Hard to concentrate. Anywho. Here we go. Prince Regent River. Stay in the northeastern heading and fly to the course of Prince Regent River, which follows an unusually straight course for much of its length due to it following a geologic fault line. Holy cow. Let's restart the timer. And let's go to 59 degrees. We're going to look for this river. I mean, this is so hard to stay put here. 59 degrees. We got way off course because of all the bouncing around and sightseeing. Because again, when I sightsee, I'm not looking at my gauges. And we're hand flying, so makes it more difficult, right? So we're going to follow this river, which is pretty obvious if you look on the GPS and off the nose. We're going to follow this for a couple minutes. I think we're off a little bit on timing, so let's see what we're looking for next. Another 3 minutes, 4 minutes after that is Mount Lyell, which is the same heading. So there's small peaks. So we're going to follow this river for about 4 minutes, and then another 4 minutes there's a river, I mean a mountain. Okay. I don't see anything in the distance. It doesn't help that we've climbed even more in altitude, so the peaks won't be as obvious. However, I was hoping the altitude would help with the dribbling, and it is not. So let's zoom out a second. I don't know, is it this peak maybe? I don't think we're going to make it that far in 8 minutes. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to fly for about 8 minutes while I try to keep control of my aircraft. We're going to look for a river, which we already found. We're going to look for a small peak about the same heading, I guess. And then we're going to, I think, head out over this water. Just a sneak peek here. Yep, then we're going to go over the water and go to St. Andrew Island, which I assume is that right there. But it's a little too early to tell. I'll see you in a couple minutes. So we've gone along the river, now we're supposed to go about this heading to look for a small peak, which I don't see. So let's use the circle cam. And, I mean, it could be any of these peaks, right? Without knowing the area, it could be anything. I don't know. Nothing looks super obvious. So maybe it's this series of peaks, not sure, but we're gonna call that good. And we're gonna head to not Mount St. Andrew, I think it said, because it's pretty obvious it's that, right? So we're gonna make our own little course here to go to St. Andrew Island, which is obviously that one, just because it's obvious. And we're going to go for 6 minutes, or we're just going to go till we get there. So we're going to set our own course in our own time, and once we get there, we'll reconvene and go back on their course. So what does it say? From Mount Lyell, which we really don't know which one is Mount Lyell, fly to the north, passing over St. George Basin, which is this water area, obviously, to St. Andrew Island, much of which is barren and inhabited only by some species of bats, birds, reptiles, and a few mammals. So it's barren, except for all these things that live there. That's kind of funny. Alright, so let's hide that. It does work to hide it, to keep track where we are, but I don't like that we have to do this. I could move this thing around, but that'd be hard to read. So anyway, we're going to head to the Big Island, which is pretty clear. I'm coming down a little bit in altitude on purpose, just because it's not helping. The juddering around just doesn't help. It's still just as bad wherever we fly. So we're going to stay about around 4,000 to 4,300, depending how we feel. And I'll see you at the island, I guess. I don't really have much more to say. Alright, it was smooth for a little bit, now I got the turbulence again, so whatever, stop complaining about it, I guess. And there's the island in front of us. We'd have a little ways to go to get there, but as we prepare, let's read about what is going to happen next. So after this, we're going to do 36 degrees, which we can get this set to right now. And not much different from where we're headed now. 36 degrees in a moment once you get over the island. And long one, 13 minutes there to Prince Frederick Harbor. Northeast of St. Andrew Island lies Prince Frederick Harbor, into which the Roe and Hunter rivers empty. So we'll make a slight course adjustment once you get over this island and go for 13 minutes or so. Should be pretty simple. There's some rivers that are going to empty apparently, which must just be up here somewhere. Think we'll get that far in 13 minutes? Or do you think it's here? I don't know. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's let the navigation do the talking for us. And as soon as we get by this island, we will set our course to where the heading bug is set and reset the timer. Let me pull that up. Alright, we're going over the island now. Well, alongside of it, I guess. We're at 4,000 feet. We're going to stay around here or so. Let's start the timer. And let's turn to our heading and see if we can find where these rivers empty in 13 minutes or so. I always increase the time, but it always takes me way longer to do stuff. Whoops, we passed it there. Let's go back to 36 degrees while things are smooth, at least for right now. Look, bumpy again. Come on. Let's go. There we go. 36, thank you. And that is interesting, whatever that is. Looks pretty cool. Oh yeah, is that barren? Doesn't look very barren to me. Especially if you're a bird or a mammal or a bat. We're finally over open water, and I've been trying my other trim wheels, and I think I got us straight and level enough that we can... No, it's going the other way, of course. Maybe we can try using the drone here. Let me see if I can get it centered long enough to do this. There we go. Super quick. Ignore the navlog thing in the top left. In fact, you probably didn't notice it until I said it, did you? An island. The few trees and no scary animals. Anyway, there you go. We're headed right to that shoreline right there. That's where we're headed. And it was a bumpy ride. It's been about 11 minutes or so, so we're pretty on track for what we were supposed to be. Let's get back on course here. We did come down a little bit in altitude just because it looked better. It was more interesting on the ground, to see the ground. So I came down because the altitude had nothing to do with the turbulence. Alright, we're about where we want to be here. And then we'll read about the next thing. Let me get my timer ready again. There we go. Timer says 14 minutes. I guess that's about right. And what's coming up next here? Whoop, come on. There we go. No, it's supposed to be 12 minutes. It took me 14, and we're still not there. Donkin's Hill. Turn to the east-south-northeast at Prince Frederick Harbor to reach Donkin's Hill at 1,300 feet above sea level, one of the most prominent landmarks in the region. Hopefully we'll be able to see it. It's probably that right there. Maybe. 76 degrees for 5.5 minutes. So let's come down here and do a whole whopping 76 degrees. Start turning as we reach landfall. Let's do a little more accurate turn here. In 5 minutes out, it says 5:46. So that has to be one of these hills here. I mean, obviously it is, but which one? It's the one we get to in 5 minutes and 46 seconds. That's how we know which one it is. I mean, there's 3 in front of us, and they're all pretty prominent. But we'll see what we do. We'll see where we get. So, more jibber jabber. Oh, also, I switched it. I remembered to switch fuel tanks. So now we're on the right tank down here. So we should have plenty of fuel to finish. and it'll balance it out a little bit better. So anyway, I'm going to fly a plane and bounce around and get nauseous while you look out the window, and I'll see you in a little bit. So there's one of the prominent hills. There's another one. Let's use circle cam here. Yeah, I don't see really any others. We're not quite 5 minutes through yet, but I don't see any other prominent hills other than these here. So we might actually be ahead of schedule. I mean, there's nothing. Oh my gosh, this is so bouncy. There's nothing further out there, and it did say 5 minutes or something. 5:46, so that's 2 minutes yet. So I don't know. Maybe there's another one out there that's all by itself in 2 minutes, because we can cover quite a bit of ground in 2 minutes. Let's bring our props a little bit there. Oh my gosh, so bouncy. Anyway, let's read about the next thing and see if it can help guide us here. Now we're going to go to the Mitchell River, which is 6 minutes out. Pretty much the same heading, 55 degrees. So let's just change this here to 55, which is pretty much what we're doing already. There we go. Let's reset our timer, I guess. And then we're looking for a river, right? It said Mitchell River, change course, or in our case, don't change course. To the northeast across the Mitchell River, notable for its staggered waterfalls along its length. That's 6 minutes out. And then just after that is our airport. Not much different of a heading. So our airport should be on the GPS, probably just over the GPS. Okay, so here's the river we're going to cross. So that's really obvious. And then after that will be the airport, which is not going to show up yet. So let's keep it like that so we can see the river. Let's stay on course. And actually probably go a little bit more towards the east than what our heading said, because the way we're getting blown around. And then after we cross the river, we'll look on the GPS for our airport. So I'm not even going to run the timer now, because we know where the river is, and then we'll use the GPS for the airport. So we can put this away too, I think, right? Let's just read about it. Continue flying, then land at the airport, bringing this wonderful outback aerial adventure to a close. I do agree, this is a very nice bush trip. I wish this last leg were split up, although there aren't any airports around, have you noticed? Because we're so remote. So I guess I understand why there's such a long leg, but I don't like when the legs get over like 35, 40 minutes. It's too long at once, especially if something happens. But anyway, yes, this has been a wonderful bush trip. I love that we're forced to hand fly, because either I'm an idiot, I can't figure out autopilot, or I just don't feel like finding keyboard commands. I don't know. Maybe other people in the comments will tell me if they have autopilot, if they found autopilot. I don't care at this point because we're almost done. And I do enjoy hand flying, but it does make it difficult to do video content because we have to do all our sightseeing from the windows, which I guess is better for immersion anyway. But anywho, let's enjoy our trip to the river, and then we'll try to find this airport and land. See you in a little bit. Alright, we're crossing the river now. And there it is. I'm just going under the wing. And there it is. You can see the waterfalls. Tons of them just in that view. And then there's an airport out here somewhere. And we climbed a lot during that sightseeing. So let's bring throttles back. So we start descending and slowing down a little bit too at the same time. And let's look for this airport. Oh, it's right there in front of us. You see it? Hopefully we can make it without having to circle around. We should be able to. If we look off the nose right now. There it is. So we're going to come down. Oh, that's not too steep, is it? Pretty realistically. And I think we should be fine. And then we'll land, and that'll conclude this bush trip. Very nice bush trip. In terms of where I rank it of all the bush trips so far, it's middle, lower middle, I guess. I like how remote it is, but it was nearly 3 hours of exactly the same thing. So, it was okay. Not one of my super favorites, not one of my least favorites. But anyway, let's have some final looks outside. See the ocean there. Some roads going through the trees. I love it. I love it. Super remote this entire trip. We're getting kind of slow. Let's bring some throttle back in, or else we're just gonna take forever to get there. So let's get going here. Throttle for speed, which normally nose down for speed, but we're already nose down, and the throttle is back, and we're still slowing down. So I gave it some throttle, and then I nose down more. So there we go. That's how we did that. All right, let's see. Anything else to say as we wrap this up? I don't think so. It's been a fun plane to fly. No autopilot, I don't think, so hand find the whole thing, obviously. Already mentioned that. It was fun. It was very cartoonish looking, which is kind of a bummer, but that's okay. We'll get over it. At the time of this recording, I have 2 bush trips left until they add more, so we'll see if we can get those done before the next world update. We'll see. We're not in a hurry. And I should sneak in some more regular flights too. It's been such a long time. If you have a request for a flight you'd like me to do, put it in the comments below. I have not been doing the weekly challenges because right now they're just more landing challenges, and I'm not really into landing challenges, and we already have our 10 activity achievements. We got that right away, so I don't need for the achievement. I have not been redoing the regular landing challenges. I did them all 100%, and then they redid them with the grading system. I just don't feel like doing them all again, so there's that I'm not doing. I haven't really been doing the discovery flights. I've been doing them off camera, I should say. I haven't been recording the discovery flights. It was hard to make good content out of those. Gear coming down, and now we'll start slowing down and get ready for flaps here. Otherwise, that's caught up on that. All of my achievements are done except the 500 and 1,000 hours because there were bugs counting time in the beginning, so I should be well over the 500 one, but it says I've done like 400 hours or something. Otherwise, let's see. I think that catches up on all the back of the house stuff. Wow, lots of fuel left. I'm impressed. I do want to look outside, but we're not going to. Yes, we are. Super fast. Look at that. Look at that. Okay, good. Hopefully we can slow down here in time for flaps. Good grief. I mean, we did have to come down 3,500 feet to get to this point. Pull up. I don't want to pull up. Gears down, right? Yeah, gears down. One set of flaps out a little early, but it's okay. Looks like we're landing on the shorter runway, which is fine. I think we'll be able to bleed off the speed in plenty of time. I do not want to deploy second flaps though until we're a little bit slower, just because I don't want to stress the aircraft and cause us to crash and have to redo the leg. That'd be a bummer. So yes, we're coming in a little bit hot here, but I think we should be good. I don't see a problem once we round out. I think we'll be just fine. I'm not going to pull up. I want to land. Just because we're so fast, it doesn't realize we're landing. There we go. A little hot. We're just going to ride this out. Second flap. That'll make us float a little. Yep. There we go. See, I told you we'd be fine. Let's just ride it out all the way to the end. Smooth as possible. And there we go. Brakes, nose move down gently, flaps coming in. Look for that save icon. I always get nervous. There it is. Whoa, it only took 10 minutes longer than it was supposed to. For me, that's insane. I thought this took over 3 hours. Anyway, there you go. That wraps it up. Like, subscribe so you know when I get more bush trips recorded and other flights recorded and Minecraft stuff. And right now, though, I'm going to switch my yoke out for my steering wheel and do Forza for a while, which I don't really record. I might record some, but hopefully there's not a gap in uploads because I'll be doing Forza. I'm so far ahead now that I'll be doing Forza and then Minecraft and then back to Flight Sim. You shouldn't see any gaps now that I remember to edit these videos. So much family stuff going on. Anyway, you know how this works. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.